It was a rainy evening when Emma saw him for the first time. She had just finished a long day at the charity center, organizing donations for underprivileged children. When she stepped out onto the bustling city street, as the downpour grew heavier, she pulled her coat tighter around her, trying to shield herself from the cold. Her thoughts were elsewhere, preoccupied with the countless children whose lives had been shaped by circumstances beyond their control. She never noticed the sleek black car speeding through the wet streets until it came barreling toward her. In an instant, a figure appeared beside her, pushing her out of harm's way. The impact of the crash sent a jolt of fear through her, and she cried out as she felt herself put into the street, followed by a sharp pain. Her world went black. A screech of tires echoed in the distance before everything went silent. When Emma woke up, the sterile smell of a hospital room filled her nose. Her head throbbed, and her body ached. Panic set in as she tried to move, but the sharp realization that something was wrong with her side hit her. She couldn't see, only darkness surrounded her. A voice broke through her fear. "You're okay," said a soft but firm voice, and she felt a hand on hers. "You're safe now. I'm Ryan. I owe you everything." Emma turned her head slightly, the voice familiar yet foreign to her. She could hear the pain in Ryan's words, but more than that, there was a depth of gratitude. She tried to respond, but her throat felt tight. "What happened to me?" she managed to whisper. "You saved my life. You pushed me out of the way of a speeding car." Ryan's voice trembled, but in the process, "You were injured. You lost your sight." Emma, her breath hitched as the weight of his words crashed into her. She had no memory of the accident, no recollection of her own sacrifice. The world had gone black, and she was left in a state of limbo both physically and emotionally. Ryan continued, his voice softer now. "I promise. I'll make sure you're taken care of. I'll be here for you." His words were meant to comfort her, but Emma wasn't sure if she could trust the man who had just entered her life in such a dramatic way. This turned into weeks, and Emma found herself grappling with a reality she hadn't been prepared for. She had always been independent, relied on her own strengths and willpower to make it through the challenges life threw at her. But now, she was dependent on others. Her vision taken from her in an instant. Ryan was there every step of the way, helping her navigate the world. His support was unwavering at first, but Emma could feel the strain in his voice as time passed. There was a distance growing between them, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. He would show up for appointments, but there was an awkwardness in the air that hadn't existed before. She could sense his guilt, but also his frustration with the situation. He hadn't signed up for this. He hadn't expected to owe someone his life, let alone be responsible for their future. One night, as they sat together in her apartment, the silence was thick. Emma could feel the weight of his presence beside her, but something in his demeanor told her that he was no longer the man who had promised to be there for her. "I need space, Emma," Ryan said quietly, his voice tight. "I don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to be the person you need me to be." Emma's heart sank. She had always been strong, but his words hit her like a physical blow. "You promised you'd be here for me," she whispered, fighting the tears. "You told me you wouldn't leave me alone." "I'm not leaving you alone," Ryan said quickly, but there was a hesitation in his words. "I'm just not sure I can do this anymore. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to me. We're both trapped in this situation." Emma wanted to argue, to fight back, but the truth was, she couldn't see him clearly anymore, literally and figuratively. There was a distance now, an emotional barrier that she couldn't break down. As the weeks went by, Emma began to adjust to her new life. She had started to rely less on Ryan and more on her inner strengths, learning how to navigate her surroundings without sight. It was difficult, but Emma was used to challenges. One day, as she sat in the park, trying to clear her mind, a familiar voice interrupted her thoughts. "Emma." She turned toward the voice, her heart skipping a beat. Standing before her was Liam, Ryan's childhood friend, a man she hadn't seen in years. He had been a constant in Ryan's life, though Emma had never paid much attention to him. No, however, Liam seemed like a lifeline in her darkened world. "I heard about the accident," Liam continued, sitting down beside her. "I'm so sorry. Ryan's not handling it well. I don't need his pity," Emma replied, her voice laced with bitterness. Liam nodded, understanding. "I get it. But if you ever need someone to talk to, or just someone to sit with, I'm here for you." Over the next few weeks, Liam became a constant presence in Emma's life. He didn't treat her like a victim. He didn't pity her. Instead, he treated her like Emma, strong, capable, and worthy of respect. As they spent more time together, Emma began to feel a connection to Liam that she hadn't anticipated. He had always been there for Ryan, but now he was here for her, no strings attached. But just as things seemed to be looking up, a familiar face entered the picture. Sophia, Ryan's ex-girlfriend, walked into the cafe where Emma and Liam were having lunch one afternoon. She was beautiful, confident, and undeniably still in love with Ryan. "Emma," Sophia greeted her coldly, her gaze flicking to Liam. "I see you've found a new friend." Emma didn't know how to respond. She could feel the tension in the air, the weight of the history between Sophia and Ryan. She wanted to ask why Sophia was here, but the words stuck in her throat. Emma knew that her life was about to get even more complicated. Sophia's smile was tight. you should know. Ryan's been reaching out to me. He wants to make things right. The days following Sophia's arrival were filled with confusion and uncertainty. Ryan began reaching out to Emma, apologizing for his earlier withdrawal. He promised that he wanted to fix things between them. Emma's emotions were a whirlwind. Part of her wanted to believe him, wanted to believe that they could go back to the way things had been, but deep down, she knew that things had changed forever. Ryan had betrayed her, not just physically, but emotionally. He had walked away when she needed him most. One evening, Ryan appeared at her door, his expression full of regret. Emma, I made a mistake. I want to be there for you. I've been talking to Sophia, but it's you I need. Emma stood there, her heart racing. No, Anne, you don't get to come back. You don't get to decide when it's convenient for you. I'm sorry. Ryan pleaded. I never wanted to hurt you. I was scared, but I've realized that I can't live without you. Emma's hands shook as she closed the door in his face. She didn't want to hurt him, but she had to protect herself. Ryan's actions had already caused enough damage. Time passed, and Emma found herself moving on, or at least, attempting to. Liam had been a constant source of strength in her life, not only helping her adjust to her blindness but also offering her companionship and a deep, unconditional respect that she hadn't known he needed. Their friendship had evolved into something more, something Emma had started to believe was possible, even in the darkest of circumstances. One evening, as they sat on the couch in Emma's apartment, Liam gently placed his hand over hers. Emma, he said softly, I've been thinking a lot about us, about you and me. Her heart raced. She had known that their bond was growing, but hearing him say it out loud made everything feel so real. Liam, I don't know what to say, she whispered, unsure of how to respond. You don't have to say anything, Emma, Liam replied, his voice steady. I'll always be here, and I always will be, but I need to know if you feel the same way. Emma's mind swirled with emotions. She wanted to tell him how much he meant to her, how much he had helped her through her darkest days, but before she could speak, the sound of a knock on the door interrupted them. Emma stiffened. She recognized the knock. Ryan. She stood up quickly, her pulse quickening. I'll be right back, she said to Liam, who gave her a knowing look but said nothing. When Emma opened the door, Ryan stood there, his face weary with regret. Emma, he said, his voice heavy. I need to talk to you, please. Emma crossed her arms over her chest, her heart pounding. What is it, Ryan? She asked, trying to keep her emotions in check. I made a terrible mistake. I was selfish. I didn't understand how much you needed me, Ryan said, his eyes pleading. But I've realized, I've always loved you. I can't let you go. Emma felt the weight of his words, and for a moment, her heart softened. She had always wanted him to come back, to apologize, to make things right, but now the pieces didn't fit. She had moved on, or, at least, she had tried. I'm not the same person I was when you left, Ryan, Emma said quietly. I've changed. I've learned to rely on myself, and I've found someone who treats me with kindness, with respect. Ryan's expression faltered. You're talking about Liam, aren't you? Emma nodded, her heart sinking. Yes, Liam's been here for me when you weren't. He's been my strength. Ryan's face darkened. You can't be serious. You're going to choose him over me. After everything I've done for you. Emma swallowed hard, her breath catching in her throat. You never really did anything for me, Ryan. You abandoned me when I needed you most. Ryan took a step back, his face twisted in pain. I never wanted to hurt you, Emma. Then why did you leave me? Emma shot back, her voice trembling with anger. Why did you choose Sophie over me? Why didn't you stay? I couldn't, Emma. I wasn't strong enough. I couldn't live with the guilt of what happened, Ryan whispered. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Finally, Emma spoke, her voice firm and resolute. You don't get to come back now, Ryan. Not after everything. I can't forgive you. Not anymore. Ryan's face hardened, but there was a flicker of pain in his eyes. You'll regret this. But Emma didn't respond. She closed the door quietly, turning back to Liam, who had been standing in the hallway, waiting. She could see the concern in his eyes, but there was something else, something deeper. Liam had always known the truth, even when Emma hadn't. I'm sorry, Emma said softly, her voice breaking. I didn't want to hurt you. Liam stepped forward, pulling her into an embrace. You don't need to apologize, Emma, he whispered, holding her tightly. I'm not going anywhere. You're not alone anymore. Just when Emma thought she had found peace, when she believed that everything was finally coming together, fate had other plans. Life, it seemed, was still determined to test her resolve. Liam and Emma's relationship grew stronger. They built a life together, filled with laughter, shared moments, and a quiet understanding. Liam was everything Ryan had never been: patient, kind, and unwavering in his love. Emma found a sense of belonging in Liam's arms, and for the first time since the accident, she believed in the possibility of happiness. But then, one night, the unthinkable happened. Emma received a phone call in the middle of the night. It was from the hospital. Emma, it's about Ryan. The voice on the other end of the line said, there's been an accident. He's in critical condition. Emma's heart dropped into her stomach. She had been angry at Ryan, resentful of his abandonment. But the thought of him being in danger filled her with dread. She couldn't ignore the bond they had once shared. No matter how fractured it had become, she turned to Liam, her hands trembling. I need to go to him. He might not make it. Liam's face was unreadable, but his voice was steady. I'll go with you. At the hospital, Emma found herself standing outside Ryan's room, her mind racing with 1,000 conflicting emotions. She didn't know if she was here because she still cared for him, or because she couldn't bear the thought of someone she had once loved dying alone. Inside, Ryan was hooked up to machines, his body pale and motionless. Emma's heart ached as she looked at him. His face contorted in pain even in unconsciousness. A part of her wanted to reach out to him, to tell him everything she had never said. But then, as if to punish her for caring, the door opened, and Sophia walked in. Her eyes were red, her face streaked with tears. She rushed to Ryan's side, taking his hand, her voice soft and filled with desperation. Ryan, please wake up, please. Emma's stomach churned. She stepped back, but before she could leave, Ryan's eyes fluttered open, locking onto Emma's face. For a moment, he looked confused, disoriented, and then recognition. Emma, he rasped, his voice barely above a whisper. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't know. Emma's throat tightened. She couldn't speak. She couldn't do this anymore, not after everything. Sophia's voice interrupted the silence. He's mine. Emma, you lost him. He'll always be mine. Emma turned and walked away, her heart breaking in two. As she left the hospital, she realized that no matter how hard she tried, she could never escape the past. Ryan's actions, his betrayal, had left scars that would never fully heal. As she stood outside in the cold night air, Liam appeared beside her, offering her his warmth, his presence. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. He was the one who had stayed, the one who had loved her through the darkness. But as Emma looked at him, she knew that some wounds never truly healed, and some love stories were destined to end in tragedy. She had made her choice, but in the end, the consequences were far more than she could bear. The city around her felt colder now, and as she walked into the night, she knew that her heart would never fully recover from the love she had lost.